Imagine this scene. You're waiting for an elevator in your apartment building. The doors open and there's a man inside. He's smiling, he seems perfectly normal, but something in the back of your mind feels off. A little alarm bell starts to ring. Your logical brain immediately starts to argue with it. "Don't be silly," it says. "He's just a neighbor. Don't be rude. Get in the elevator." But your gut, your intuition, is screaming at you, "Wait for the next one." Which voice do you listen to? According to one of the world's leading experts on predicting violence, Gavin de Becker, the gut feeling is the only one that matters. In his revolutionary and life-saving book, The Gift of Fear, he makes a powerful and profound argument. True fear is not a weakness. It is not a sign of paranoia. It is a gift. It is an ancient, finely tuned survival signal that is designed to protect you from danger. The problem is, most of us have been taught to ignore it. We've been socialized to be polite, to be nice, to not make a scene, and in doing so, we have turned off our own internal security system. This book is a journey to turn that system back on. It is not just a collection of safety tips. It is a deep, philosophical and psychological inquiry into the language of violence, the mechanics of manipulation, and the incredible life-saving power of your own intuition. The philosophy of true fear. The first and most important step on this journey is to understand the crucial difference between true fear and its useless, annoying cousin, worry. Worry, de Becker explains, is a state of chronic imaginative anxiety. It's the what-if game we play in our heads. What if I get in a car crash on the way to work? What if I get sick? What if I lose my job? Worry is not a survival signal. It's a product of our imagination, a story we are telling ourselves about a future that hasn't happened. It drains our energy and it clutters our minds, making it harder to spot real danger. True fear, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. It is not imaginative. It is a direct response to a real and present danger in your environment. It is not a story you are telling yourself. It is a signal your body is sending you. It is a gift that is only given in the presence of danger. If you are walking in the woods and you see a mountain lion, the feeling you get is not worry, it is fear, and that fear is a good thing. It floods your body with adrenaline, focuses your mind, and prepares you to fight or to flee. It is a brilliant life-saving mechanism. So where does this signal come from? De Becker argues that intuition is not a magical sixth sense. It is a powerful and incredibly fast form of data processing. Your brain in every moment is absorbing thousands of bits of information from your surroundings, a person's body language, their tone of voice, a detail that seems out of place. Your conscious, rational mind can only process a few of these at a time, but your unconscious mind is processing all of them, all the time, comparing them to a vast internal database of past experiences and inherited survival instincts. When your unconscious mind detects a mismatch, a pattern that signals danger, it doesn't send you a detailed, logical report. It sends you a short, powerful, and undeniable message. It sends you a gut feeling. It gives you the gift of fear. The great tragedy is that we have been taught to mistrust this gift. We let our rational minds, our social conditioning, talk us out of it. I'm just being paranoid. I don't want to be rude. I'm probably overreacting. De Becker's central message is a call to unlearn this dangerous habit. It is a call to honor and to trust the wisdom of your own intuition. Decoding the predator's playbook. So if our intuition is so smart, what are the specific signals it's picking up on? De Becker argues that predators, whether they are con artists, stalkers, or violent criminals, use a predictable set of manipulative tactics to gain control of their victims. He calls these pre-incident indicators, or PINs. Learning to recognize this playbook is like learning a new language. Once you see it, you can never unsee it, and it will give you a powerful advantage. One of the most common tactics is forced teaming. This is when a stranger tries to create an instant artificial sense of a shared experience, using words like we or us. Imagine you are struggling with a heavy bag of groceries and a man comes up and says, "Wow, we've got our hands full today, don't we? Let's get this to your car." He is using the word we to create the illusion that you are on the same team, that you have a shared predicament, but you don't. You are a person, and he is a stranger. This is a subtle but powerful technique designed to break down your natural boundaries and create a false sense of trust. Another powerful tool is charm and niceness. It's very important to remember that charm is not a character trait, it is a skill. It is a tool that people can use to manipulate you. A genuinely good person does not need to prove their goodness to you, but a predator will often use an overwhelming amount of charm and politeness to disarm your suspicions. They're trying so hard to seem nice because they know that you have been socially conditioned to respond to niceness with trust. Charm is a verb, not an adjective. It is something one person does to another. Predators also often use too many details. When a person is telling the truth, they don't usually feel the need to over-explain themselves. But when someone is lying, they are often aware that their story is not credible. So they will add a lot of extra, unnecessary details to try and make it sound more believable. If a stranger asks to use your phone and says, "My car broke down and my wife is pregnant and I have to call the hospital and I'm a doctor myself," he is giving you far too many details. The very act of trying so hard to convince you is a red flag that he is not being genuine. A more subtle and insidious tactic is typecasting. This is when a predator uses a slight insult to get you to prove them wrong. The man in the parking garage might say, "Oh, you're probably too proud to accept help from a stranger." He knows that your immediate ego-driven response will be to say, "No, I'm not proud at all. Of course you can help me." He has labeled you with an undesirable trait, and you feel a powerful urge to prove that the label is untrue. You have been manipulated into doing exactly what he wants. Another tactic is loan sharking. This is when someone gives you a small, unsolicited piece of help, and then uses it to make you feel indebted to them. The man who insists on carrying your groceries to your car is not just being helpful, he is creating a social debt. Now you feel obligated to him. It becomes much harder to say no to his next request, whatever that might be. He has loaned you his help, and now he is coming to collect. A very common red flag is the unsolicited promise. A promise is only credible when it is a response to a concern. If you are interviewing someone for a job and you ask about their qualifications, and they promise you they have the skills, that's normal. But if a stranger gets in an elevator with you and says, "Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you," that is a huge red flag. Why? Because you didn't ask. The fact that he felt the need to make that promise suggests that the idea of hurting you was on his mind. An unsolicited promise is almost always a sign of a hidden and likely malevolent intention. The most powerful word in your vocabulary. All of these tactics are designed to do one thing: to get you to ignore your gut feeling and to comply with the predator's wishes. But there is one simple, powerful, and often very difficult tool that can defeat all of them, and that is the word no. De Becker dedicates an entire section to this, arguing that our inability to say a clear, firm no is one of our greatest vulnerabilities. We are taught from a young age that saying no is rude, that it's impolite, that it will hurt the other person's feelings. So instead of a clear no, we offer up weak, negotiated rejections. "I'm not sure. I have a boyfriend. I can't right now, maybe later." The problem with these soft no's is that a manipulator hears them as an invitation to negotiate. "I have a boyfriend" is heard as, "If I didn't have a boyfriend, I would be interested, so you just have to convince me that you are better than him." De Becker's advice is revolutionary in its simplicity. No is a complete sentence. It does not require an explanation. It does not require an apology. When you feel your intuition giving you the gift of fear, you do not owe the source of that fear a polite, socially acceptable explanation. You owe yourself safety. The single most important red flag, the one that trumps all others, is what De Becker calls discounting the word no. When a person refuses to accept your no, when they try to argue with it or ignore it or get angry about it, they are sending you the clearest possible signal. They are telling you, "I do not respect your boundaries. I believe I am entitled to something from you, and I am willing to use pressure to get it." This is the bright, flashing warning sign of a person who is trying to control you. And a person who is trying to control you is a person who is, by definition, a potential danger. Learning to say no with clarity and finality, and learning to walk away from anyone who will not accept it is the most powerful safety skill you can ever develop. Applying the knowledge, seeing the patterns. The rest of The Gift of Fear is a deep and often disturbing dive into how these principles apply to specific real-world threats. De Becker, who has spent his career assessing threats against celebrities and public figures, shows how the same basic patterns of manipulation and control show up in different contexts. He provides a detailed analysis of the warning signs of domestic violence. He shows that an abusive partner almost always follows a predictable pattern of behavior: moving too fast in a relationship, extreme jealousy and possessiveness, and isolating the victim from their friends and family, all of which are different forms of discounting the word no and asserting control. He explores the psychology of stalking, showing how it is not a crime of passion or love, but a crime of possession and power. A stalker, he argues, is someone who has an imaginary relationship with their victim and they become enraged when the real person refuses to play their assigned role in that fantasy. He even applies these principles to the workplace, showing how the same pre-incident indicators can predict which disgruntled employee might become violent. He also gives a chilling and practical guide to what to do in the unlikely but terrifying event of an active shooter situation. Throughout all of these examples, the core message is the same. Violence is almost never a completely random, out-of-the-blue event. There are always warning signs, there are always signals. The problem is not that the signals don't exist, it's that we have been trained to ignore them. The Gift of Fear is a book about retraining ourselves. It's about learning to see the patterns, to trust the signals, and to act on the life-saving information that our own minds are already giving us. The promise of the gift. It may seem like a dark and paranoid way to live, to be constantly on the lookout for these signals of danger. But de Becker's final message is the exact opposite. The ultimate promise of the Gift of Fear is not a life of constant anxiety, but a life of true, confident peace. Remember the difference between worry and fear. Most of us spend our lives in a state of chronic, low-grade worry. We are anxious about 1,000 different imaginary threats. This is an exhausting and useless way to live. The person who has learned to trust the gift of fear can let go of all that worry. They understand that their intuition is a highly effective but very quiet security system. It's always on, always scanning the environment in the background. As long as that system is quiet, you can relax. You can be open, you can be friendly, you can enjoy your life, because you know that if a real threat ever appears, your internal alarm system will sound, and when it does, you will know to listen. This is the real freedom the book offers. It's not about making you more afraid. It's about making you afraid less often, but for the right reasons. It's about trading 1,000 useless worries for one useful, life-saving signal. It is a book that gives you back your own power. It teaches you to trust the ancient, powerful, and deeply wise part of yourself that has only one job: to keep you safe. It's a profound inquiry into the nature of survival itself. If you are ready to unlearn your politeness and learn to trust your own gut, then you are in the right place. Welcome to Geeky Philosopher. Subscribe, and let's continue to explore the practical philosophies that help us navigate our world with more wisdom and safety.